Hey, welcome on in, you rascals. Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I'm having a day today, dude. I just got done watching Dolphins preseason, and as I was about to hop on the mic, it got a little dicey between Serbia and Germany. Jovic, dude. So I was watching that, so I'm like, I'm going to finish watching that, then I'll get to the Finns recap. I got Marlins coming on, UFC tonight. It's a sports smorgasbord here, baby. But the Dolphins get themselves, hey, how about that, dude? Get themselves a win over the Detroit Lions today. Didn't even play the starters. Didn't need them, dude, as we had ourselves a day today. First off, that pick by Ethan Robinson to end this game. I was getting nervous. I thought the Miami Dolphins were maybe heading for like a 2-point conversion defense for the win. Because, there's no way Man Campbell was going to kick for the tie. Could you imagine 2 ties in a row? That would have been crazy. Honestly, it was the second half. I thought the Dolphins very much dominated, and tip of the cap goes to number 14, Quinn Ewers. Ewers was cooking, dude. He was absolutely cooking in this performance, and you want to talk about a stellar performance by the young gunslinger, the young QB out of Texas. He looked really, really good today, dude. He was very comfortable in the pocket. He had himself a day throwing to Theo Weiss Jr., those guys had themselves an absolute connection left and right, and a lot of times over the middle. A couple of TDs today to give the Finns the lead ultimately. Almost led a third touchdown drive. But man, I thought, I was like, all right, Quinn Ewers. That was a hell of a response from the game that we got beforehand, where it was like, this guy should have stayed in college. I don't know, dude. I do not know. But I just thought that he looked tremendous in this game. He looked very cool, very composed. And not only that, but the Dolphins also got themselves a very, very impressive game today in the backfield. I thought you got a lot of nice runs today. Ollie Gordon. Dare I say Chris Greer cooked with this rookie class? I know it's preseason, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But, it feels like, first of all these defensive linemen, they're like the Monstars. They're all just monstrosities up the middle, whether it's Jordan Phillips or Zeke Biggers. Biggers is like out there every single time. He's out there just completely game-wrecking these things. Jordan Phillips seems like he's wreaking havoc in the backfield. Kenneth Grant just got himself a little bit of action today, but you already saw that he was like a snowplow out there doing what he was doing. Probably the guy you have the most questions about right now is Savaianaya. And obviously, there's a lot of pressure on him. So I think there's a lot of scrutiny that comes with it. But, man, I just thought that Ewers today looked very, very composed. He looked really good. Is it enough to dethrone Zach Wilson? It doesn't sound like it off of what Mike McDaniel was saying after the game. Because, to be fair, Zach Wilson played pretty good. He played pretty good. There were definitely some moments where you're just like, but, I don't want to be a rat bastard to these guys. This is the preseason, and they are backup quarterbacks. Barry Jackson tweeted out as I was watching Serbia, Germany. Mike McDaniel was asked if Zach Wilson is still the number 2. Didn't answer specifically, but said he doesn't want to overreact to results. Yeah, who wants to do that, dude? That's absolutely crazy. You don't want to overreact to results. But I tell you, man, that last drive by Ewers pretty much sealed the deal for this game, because they went like 8 minutes, 15 plays, 8 minutes, and he had that drive to me was almost as impressive as anything, because he found Henning, who Henning had a really great grab over the middle, or it was a really good throw, and then Henning was like, pulls it in, Weiss again, then some intangibles, tight end. And then Shamklin comes in there with like a 32-yard run. I was like, oh? Running game was impressive. What did the Dolphins run today for this game? They only ran for 97 yards. It felt a lot more impactful than that. I'm going to tell you, it felt a lot more impactful than that. I felt like it was more. But I think the one that we're probably all pleased with is Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon just continues to be very impressive in his runs. Runs like an absolute demon downfield. I love watching this guy play football. It is very impressive. And that second drive, that second touchdown drive for the Dolphins to put them into, to give them the lead ultimately, Gordon was just a maniac with how he was running. Just strong runs all the way down on that field, and was really, really impressive. Really impressive. Like, it was catalyst by Ewers, finding Weiss. Those guys like peanut butter and jelly with their connection today. But was Ollie Gordon down with those strong runs? I was like, that really seemed like it dictated things for Miami. So that was really cool today as well. Man, I would say like if you wanted to be really nitpicking at what went wrong for the Dolphins today, I mean, they put the ball on the ground too many times. I mean, and they got lucky a couple of times. The biggest one, no doubt, was by A.J. Henning on a punt. It was the second time that it happened today. It happened to D. Eskridge early. Channing Tindall just happened to recover it early on in the game. And D. Eskridge did respond, but A.J. Henning, he fumbled it. And Miami had a really, really nice defensive stance with Cam Good and Zeke Biggers and Eugene Asante with a big hit. And, Grayson Murphy, what a game he had today. And you're like, boom, 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 3 and out. And then all of a sudden, A.J. Henning fumbles his punt. You're just like, And so instead of getting the ball back for the lead, the Dolphins end up going down 3. They were able to, credit to the defense to even hold it to a field goal because that could have been an absolute backbreaker. Understanding it's preseason, people. Understanding it's preseason. But I'm just saying, in the football scheme of situations, looked really dicey in that scenario. So, for them to be able to respond by that, I thought was pretty impressive for the Dolphins. Was pretty impressive. And, that second half was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. The young guys were having fun. I got to be honest with you, even Cam Smith had a couple of moments, looked maybe a little high, but I'm graded on a curve. I want to have positive output on Cam Smith today. Had like a little fingertip graze. I'm going to give him the thing. Was there any shot that a dude, if he had a rocket up his ass, that the receiver was going to catch it? Probably not. I'm going to give it to Cam Smith. And then he had another one. It ended up being a penalty anyway, but Cam Smith had a really nice tackle on Hooker, which would have kept it from being a first down if it wasn't a penalty to push it back. And I was like, all right, look at Cam Smith making some football plays. And this was a big debate on the broadcast by Kim Bokamper and Steve Goldstein. They were debating, hey, are we going to keep him? We're going to go with him? What are we going to do here, huh? I don't know. But, yeah, it was something. I'm working my way backwards here a little bit, so we'll get back into the first half because it was a bit of the Zach Wilson game, then it was the Quinn Ewers game. And I think that for Dolph fans, let's be honest, you're always going to be more excited about the quarterback you drafted than the guy who is a retread who you paid $6 million to. That's just what it is. And I think that for Dolphin fans who felt like the stock was a penny stock last week on Quinn Ewers, you're feeling like, okay, this guy looks like he's going to be able to do things. We understand you guys don't have to make the point of who they're playing against. It's an unoriginal thing to say. We know. But you can, there's a little saying I like to call, you can only play who you're playing. And that's who he's playing. And he looked good. So I think you should take the W and take it because he played those same bums last week. And he looked terrible, dude. So either way, in the first quarter of this game, first of all, it was a really rough first. It's interesting. Usually, the way this has gone in watching preseason is it's usually the first half flies and the second half crawls. This was a bit of the opposite. The first half just was like, it was like grim death with all the yellow laundry on the field today. Just flag after flag after flag and just like, killing me, dude. Taking just really, really, really just brutal. So nothing really doing early on in this game, but on the second time the Dolphins touched the football, Zach Wilson, he found himself a nice little safety blanket in Tanner Conner. Tanner Conner had a pretty productive day today. Was open all damn long. He had 6 catches for 48 yards on 7 targets. The only one wasn't even on him on that one target. So Tanner Conner looked like something today. You did not have Julian Hill. None of the starters played other than I think Savaianaya. Some of the young rookies played, but the ones that you knew were going to have an impact on this team didn't play very much. And, Tanner Conner had this opportunity with Julian Hill not playing that he was going to get some chances and get some footballs, and he looked really good. Like he was open all day, all the time. We know the guy's always been athletic. They talked about the weight that he's put on. This guy's been on the Dolphins now. It seems like a freaking forever. And, I'm sure he's got to be looking at this opportunity with like, all right, Julian Hill, we know is probably going to be on the team. They bring in Farrell Brown. We know this is Darren Waller going to return? Maybe this makes them not want to bring Darren Waller back. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going to happen with this whole Darren Waller situation. But either way, it's one of those things where I was like, all right, Tanner Conner was doing things today, dude. Like he was making you feel things, and Zach Wilson, I think, was much obliged in feeling how things were going. And by the way, a good week for the Dolphins as it is anyway, because so much angst by the fan base this week. And we talked about this today on the pregame show. Just like I get why the fan base is pissed. I do. I'm not ignorant as to why, and I'm not even saying the Dolphins don't deserve it. I'm just saying for your own mental health, for your well-being. I'm asking you not to bang your head against the wall for joint practices. We're not even seeing it. We're reading tweets. It's all making you nutty, and it's not good for anybody. And by the way, the team is taking accountability for it, and they responded in a big way, and I thought they looked good today. They showed themselves some real great stuff out there today. Taj Washington, they had a cool play in this drive where Taj Washington on the jet sweep. They had a nice little fake. So Zach Wilson doing some Tua-like things there with the ball movement. This was honestly, you probably look at the second drive, you had this big fumble by D. Eskridge, which ended up luckily getting recovered by the Dolphins. But D. Eskridge and Zach Wilson hooking up for play after play after play. The 3rd and 12 that Zach Wilson had to D. Eskridge, little check down to him. He gets free and loose. Nice block by Larry Borum. He goes for over 20 yards, and you're in business. You're on 1st and goal. Jalen Wright then fumbled the football. Thankfully, it bounces right to Tanner Conner, and the Dolphins are able to keep the football. And so then Wilson finds D. Eskridge, who gets all the way down to the end zone. He was a little shaken up by things. I don't know if McDaniel has said what. I haven't checked out his comments, so excuse my ignorance on it. But a nice response from D. Eskridge, who obviously had the big play, which the Lions were big crybaby weenies about afterwards. Look at the magnifying glass. I don't think he was in bounds. It's like, grow up, dude. All right, was it called in the game or was it not? Was it called in practice or was it not? You're reviewing film in practice. Like, how you want to talk about mentally weak? How mentally weak can you be as a franchise where you're trying to social media own a practice? You sound like losers. Maybe one of the most significant things happened the next drive as the Lions get the ball back, and that was Ethan Bonner got his hamstring jacked up. That did not look great. You had the signature pull-up run, and we know Ethan Bonner, like, he is a DB. He is all about his speed, and I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do. This is actually a legit concern, and that is saying that I think some of the DBs played pretty good in the back half of this game. Let's be real about it. They're end-of-the-roster guys, so Isaiah Johnson, who was in those battles last year, Cam Smith, who's a second-round pick. Can either of those guys step up? I don't know. But we can all say, like, between Kohu and Burns and if you want to go safeties, you want to go with Melifonwu being out and Ashton Davis being out, and now you're dealing with another DB and Ethan Bonner. It's not great, man. It's not great. It's not great. So there's a lot of concerns that the Dolphins have to be dealing with this. Get to the second quarter of this game. This was funny to me because, and I'm not making a big deal of it, but I did find it funny that there's been a big debate about where Tua and Tyreek Hill are out. And I think that Tua's handled all this stuff very, very well. And I think that he's handling this like a leader. But I think he's very honest when he tells you that, like, hey, Tyreek is trying to change, but that doesn't mean that we're all cool. And that's kind of where I felt things are at. Like, we're not all the way back, but I understand he's trying to grow. He's trying to change. Can he? We'll see. And Tua today, he gave a quote to Mike Cugno, Dolphins reporter, CBS 4. And he said, And I can't give it all of its just due because it was also in the way he said it and the way Tua was looking at the camera. So you lose something. I don't know if anybody's put it on social media because I've only seen the quotes. But Tua was asked about his relationship with Tyreek by Mike. And he said, just got to keep the conversations going. Hang out a little bit more. He has a different personality than I have. So just trying to find that balance between. It's continuing to keep those conversations going. But he's like, he's kind of like slowly nodding as he's saying this. And I'm just like, wow, Tua just Brian Flores does. And he basically just hit Tua. He hit Tyreek Hill with he's our quarterback. He's my teammate. Like it is what it is. Like I'm going to make it work because I'm going to make it work. Am I thrilled about it? Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I was just like, because I've not much put into the Tua Tyreek drama, but I definitely was like, after watching that, I was like, okay. I was like, that doesn't feel like they're all the way back, So I'm just saying, I'm not, and I've been very much on this feels like it's going to be fine. Maybe they're making too much. I thought Tua handled all this stuff brilliantly, and very clearly Tyreek Hill's trying to make amends with his tweets to the fans, and he's locked in. Now, he is hurt. I mean, the biggest thing out of all of this is he's not healthy. And by the way, as I read this, it looks like Zach Sealer and Devon Achane are dealing with something. So, according to Mike McDaniel, who continues to make his descriptions of injuries more obtuse by the day. But, yeah, I'm just, he's saying that he doesn't have worries about the regular season. So that's the biggest deal. But it seems like we may have a week of practice next week without Devon Achane or Zach Sealer. So anyway, that was just the thing I found interesting from the Tua interview. The Lions would even things up with a touchdown drive. You had an illegal contact by Patrick McMorris, which kept the drive going. But in that drive, you had some really splash plays by like Jordan Phillips, that defensive line just has been absolutely dazzling. And Tesla was, got a big catch for first down. Lions would even things up at 7 apiece. And then Dolphins had a pretty good drive going for themselves with some nice plays by Ollie Gordon. He started making like his first big plays of the game, and Zach Wilson by the end of this was like probably the drive where like it looked like it was starting off well for Zach Wilson in this game. This drive from Zach Wilson definitely had a lot to be desired. Like he threw a bomb that nearly got picked off. And then he was getting, and some of this stuff was like they got. This was a drive where Keon Smith got beat bad for a sack, and Zach Wilson got sacked and he fumbled it. But luckily, I think it was that dumbass Grant Stewart, the guy with the big mouth. He got a face mask penalty, so the Dolphins got the drive to keep going. Taj Washington had a nice catch and run with a good block from Eric Ezukama, and then Wilson had this was probably one of his sick plays. It was a nice fake handoff, and he finds Ollie Gordon, who was marching down the sidelines, like looking real froggy. He'd go to Connor for a nice gain, and then it would get killed up by, some incompletions and a sack by, I think it was Keon Smith who got killed on that one. And the Dolphins went for it on 4th and 4. They didn't settle for a field goal. So it went back to the Lions, and they would answer back with the touchdown drive for the Fins. So the Dolphins were down 14-7 going into the half, and we kind of gave you the second half rundown of all things. But all in all, yeah, I think Zach Wilson still is able to get those splash plays, those impressive times, but he also had some where you're like, all right, $6 million for that? There's like a lot of that. There's just not a consistency to him. And I think, honestly, I just thought that like Quinn Ewers had just a better level of consistency to him today. But all in all, man, good game for the Dolphins for getting to see some of these young guys go out there and shine. I thought it was a good day. Good day for the Dolphins. And I hope we'll settle some things down. I mean, I know it won't, but I hope it does. I had a good time watching today's game.